Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make one of those pressing machines that you use on your MISTI. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, I know there's other names that these tools go by. Some people call them impressibles. Some people call them a tool that you just push on your MISTI. This is what I've used in the past. It's a dry erase eraser, and I just push on the top of your MISTI. It's a way to get a really good impression every time with your MISTI, and I thought it would be fun to make my own. I know a lot of people use the tops of candles, old used up Yankee Candles, that kind of candle, but we had this jar and the jar broke. And as soon as the jar broke, I went, wait a minute, I am going to do something with the lid. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to make our own from scratch with no clue about what I'm doing, just from ideas that I came up with on my own. So I'm going to use E6000 glue. I'm going to put some shaky things in here because I thought it'd be fun to make it a shaker kind of thing. I'm going to put some pattern paper inside. I'm going to put a little bit of cork, and hold on, there's a piece in here that's missing. I used foam core. Now the foam core is a black foam core that I hacked out. You know, when I do things, I do it the whole, the best way possible. And what I did was I traced around the base of the jar, and then I cut it out with one of my scalpels. It's a disposable scalpel that one of my viewers sent me. It's the greatest tool ever. I haven't cut myself with it, which is great. I didn't do any more like cleanup with it because I thought it would be better if I showed you how to do cleanup. The foam core, you just get a great big piece at Dollar General or Dollar Tree for under $1, and mine was black. You can get white or black usually. I'm using, these are from Sizzix. They're called pinks and reds, and I guess it's called Love Struck on the bottom. They're just different types of beads and shaker components. That's what we're going to use. I have my hot glue gun going, and I also bought, this is not what I bought recently, but I bought some felt that has a sticky back to it, and this is called Presto felt. It also is got a sticky back to it, so I don't have to worry about whether it's going to attach or not to this project. And what you do with this is what actually you're going to rub on your MISTI with, in case you didn't know. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to use my gel pen, and hopefully on the felt get a little bit of an impression of my white gel pen around this felt, so that we'll be able to hopefully see what it looks like and then cut it out. I guess that's probably the best I'll be able to do to, make it so you can see it. And I'm going to just cut this with some of like fabric scissors. These are just Fiskars scissors. They're heavy duty. So I'll cut that out, and I'm going to have Rich just fast forward this so you don't have to watch me cut for an hour. Close enough. Then let's cut out these two things. This is just my paper that I'm going to line it with. I thought it would look better if I lined it underneath with the pinks and purple or pinks and red shaker components, that I would use a paper that matched that to some degree. If you've never thought about cutting, the best way to cut is to turn the paper and not your hand. And if you have hand problems like I do, it makes even more sense that you spin the paper rather than turn your hand. Just saying. I'm just trying to get the black off of this. I think it'll be hidden, but you never know, and if I see it, it's going to bug me. Then I'm going to cut out our piece of cork. I don't even know. I think I got this cork at a garage sale. I was really excited when I found it. I'm pretty sure it was at a garage sale. And I've been meaning to make sets of coasters, but I never did it. I'm going to someday. Let me show you how I'm going to make the foam core work better. I noticed in my videos that I always have a lot of stuff sitting around. It bugs me. Just saying, it bugs me that I always have a lot of stuff sitting around. I am going to try not to use my scalpel, but if I have to, I do. And what I'm going to do to clean up my edges, I'm going to try and find a scrap here. You'd think I'd have 1,000 pieces of scrap. There it is. Keeping in mind that I did get out this piece of scrap specifically to do this with, and then I lost it. Okay, so what you're going to do after you get your paper to lay flat because it's bugging you, what you want to do is you want to make sure that this piece of foam core goes to the edges of your jar so that you can glue it in place, but you don't want it all hacked up like mine is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, this is just a Dollar Tree sanding block. I was trying to think of the name of it, and it came to me in a flash. And you're just going to go around the edges because you don't want to have, as I said, those kind of chunked off edges that I did. Now this has to go completely to the edge if you're going to have shaker components in it, because if you have shaker components and it doesn't go to the edge, I think you can do the math on that. The shaker components will fall right out of there, and then you'll end up with a big mess, and you'll blame it on me and say, why didn't Sandy tell me that? I just did. Just saying. Okay. Okay, let's see how we're doing for... I think it looks pretty good as far as, let's flip it over this way so you can see it from this side. I think you can tell that it does cover all of the opening, and then of course the glue is going to also make a big difference there. How I'm going to get the shaker components in and glue it down, your guess is as good as mine. The difference between E6000 and hot glue is E6000 will hold anything, and hot glue usually holds things, but E6000 doesn't set up as quickly as, oh, look at all those little tools are in there. How fun are those? E6000 doesn't set up as quickly as hot glue does, and you want to make sure that not only do you have a glue that's going to really do a good job of holding, but you also want it to set up quickly. So that's why we're doing both types of glue. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use my E6000 and I'm just going to run it around the edges. You don't want to have a ton of this because you don't want it to ooze out all over on your paper, around the edges of your paper. You want your paper to line it so it looks nice. You want to make sure it's well adhered. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to attach all of my pieces. I'm putting the cork in there because I think the cork will add a little bit of give and like more pressing. You know, it'll allow me to push harder on it. So I'm going to put a little bit of the E6000 on this. I'm only going to be using the hot glue where I'm attaching it to the jar, because I need to make sure that the jar is well adhered. Then this has got that sticky back on it, and as much as I love the sticky back, I'm just not 100% sure it'll stay forever, and you know me, it's got to stay forever. And I'm gonna add more of my E6000, mostly around the edges. We're making a sandwich basically, like that. Keep in mind, this isn't going to be pretty on the sides. It could be pretty if I decided I needed to, you know, like cut some of this out, or you know, line it with, maybe I'll cut the cork so you can't. I'm cutting the felt at it, or the cork at an angle. I don't know if you can see that, and I'll show you in a second how I'm doing that, because I want to make sure that when I cut it, that you can't see I'm cutting it kind of like that. How about if I just take my my serious blade, I just cut it out right there, and hopefully you can see once I pull the felt back, all you can see is the black felt. You can't really see the cork that I keep forgetting the name of. I'm just gonna hack more cork off because I don't really want the cork to be something you see on the edges, so that all we have showing is black on this side. Now keep in mind the edges of this are what we're going to attach to our jar, but where we're going to attach it is on this side, because it's going to look like this. Everybody with me? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with my shaker components from the bottom, like upside down. I'm not going to put a ton in here because I really want this to be something I can pick up easily, and it's not going to be heavy. And so I'm just going to put in, I have these teeny tiny little hearts that are going to go everywhere. I'll just get those off my counter in a second. And we have these gold pieces that are all different shapes. They're all different sizes. Well, there's a lot of those in there. I've got this container of all kinds of cool beads, and I put some of the red ones in and some pink ones that were in another container. Put some more in, even though, remember how I said, oh, I'm not going to put a lot in because I don't want it to be heavy. Well, you know how that goes. I convinced myself, oh yeah, I'm going to put some more of those blue ones in. Maybe there's some in this one that I like instead. I don't even know where I got these, but I think they're the coolest thing. I like the green ones, but then it makes it look Christmassy. As I said, just a few. That was hard to believe that I only got just a few. Usually I get a few million. So, what I want to do, and you know it's going to be iffy for me to do this right. First thing I want to tell you is, if you used a marker on your, when you were going around with your paper, make sure that your edges are clean before you glue this down. So we're going to, I'm going to move this a little bit off to the side. I'm going to put a few drops of this. I'm going to say maybe 6. It's probably way too many. And then everything from the shaker components probably going to get stuck in those, but that's the risk we're going to take. So that's all the E6000 we're going to use. All right, so I've got those done. Now what I need to do is I need to put a few little drops of hot glue. All right, cross your fingers. This is the moment that I'm going to either make it work or cry a lot. Okay, now I'm just going to really push down on it. And I don't want the shaker components to touch anything yet, because the glue is wet, and I don't want them to touch the wet glue. I can wipe, I'll be able to wipe off or hot glue, or use my heat tool to get the hot glue off, and the other glue. You can see I got a little gap right there. Like I said, if you've got a gap, you got to get rid of it, because you don't want, some of these spots really look good. I do like the way it feels to rub across my MISTI. I think it's sturdy and it's still squishy, because you got the foam core and then the felt and then the cork. I think that the combination of those is it's going to work good. All right, that's what it looks like. I'm pretty impressed with it. So, I'm not going to play with it today, because what will be the point of playing with it, because I haven't got anything to do. But I'm going to be doing a project in the next day or so, and when I do, I'll make sure I use this so that you can see it in action. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.